What's up, everybody? Welcome in on this Celtics post-mortem Tuesday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Short show today. We're up for 40 minutes. 6:10 is the out time today. Red Sox baseball comes up then. We're in a string of short shows now. We had a lot of full shows here over the last 2 weeks. Now we're on a string of short shows. 40 minutes today up until 6:10. We're brought to you by Fecto Homes, your total home solution in Montpelier. You can see their banner behind me here on the Fecto Homes live stream if you're watching us on Facebook Live or on YouTube. You can also get in on the text line 802-585-3026. That is your Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. I'm really floored by what we saw last night. That's it. I am really floored by what we saw last night. I've told you for weeks now that I haven't been as wrong on a team ever as I've been about these Boston Celtics. When I think they're going to win, they lose. When I think they're going to lose, they win. When I worry about them rolling over, they rise up. When I'm confident in them meeting the task, they constantly underachieve. This Celtics team got beat yesterday on its home floor by 19 points. The season is over. It is a critical offseason, an offseason full of questions about the coach, questions about your core, questions about all of it. Questions about Brad Stevens in upper management. This is going to be a long off season for the Boston Celtics, and it's going to start real fast, right? It's a long off season in a short amount of time because you look at it, we're going to be at training camp here. It's hard to believe. We're going to be at training camp in 3.5 months. Joe Mazzulla, Brad Stevens, the coaching staff in general, Jaylen Brown, all that is going to have to get figured out here. There's not much time to lick your wounds. A lot of stuff's going to have to happen here. Celtics beaten 103-84. I am shocked. I was so confident yesterday. I'm sure it bordered on annoying arrogance. I was so confident the Celtics were going to win that game. And they just didn't come out and meet the challenge. Celtics were worse than Miami in really every possible way. Outside of Derek White's run in the third quarter, Miami was better in every possible way that mattered. Miami hit 14 threes. The Celtics hit 9. Miami shot 50% from 3. The Celtics shot 21%. Miami was 49% from the floor. The Celtics were 39. Miami out-rebounded the Celtics by 2. Miami had more assists by 8. Miami committed 3 less turnovers. Miami just, they won the game. They won the game outright. Do I think the Celtics gave it to them? In some spots, yeah. Too many turnovers, especially by Jaylen Brown. I mean, Jaylen Brown had 8 turnovers yesterday. Jaylen Brown played terrible. 1 of 9 from 3, 8 turnovers, a -17 plus minus. He was horrible. The team was horrible in a lot of ways. If Jason Tatum doesn't get hurt, do they win? They certainly got a lot better shot, but it wasn't in the cards last night. And now we're left to ask the questions and we're left to seek the answers. I think Joe Mazzulla got a little exposed last night. And I've been a Joe Mazzulla fan. I would bring Joe Mazzulla back. Also, look, we are a month and a half into the offseason. A lot of teams that already have that had coaching vacancies have hired coaches. I truly do not know who is out there. Okay. And if you want to tell me you want to bring in a retread like Mark Jackson or somebody, I'm not really interested in that. He hadn't coached in a decade. So I would bring Joe Mazzulla back. He got exposed yesterday. And it's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's understandable, though, given the situation that he was in. Erik Spoelstra is a very good coach with a lot of experience, and now he's got significant NBA Finals experience. But the Celtics felt like they had one way to win, and that was to shoot their way to a victory. Miami gave them something yesterday they hadn't seen, switching the pick and rolls, playing more zone, things they didn't do all year. Miami was able to do yesterday. And Erik Spoelstra was able to pull a lever that Joe Mazzulla couldn't counter. It is understandable. It is disappointing. I think Joe Mazzulla had a bad night yesterday. So did the rest of the Celtics. I saw people after the game criticizing the Celtics for taking too many threes. And why are you taking so many threes? And if they're not falling, if they didn't fall in game 6, you got to change up the game plan. Yes, Joe Mazzulla and this team only had one way to win. That said, that way got them 3 victories in a row, right? They always say you live by the 3, you die by the 3. A lot of people, and myself included, wanted to see the Celtics go to something different. But with your best player hampered, and Robert Williams had a stomach thing, that's why he only played 14 minutes. So with Tatum hurt and Williams hampered, what exactly is there to go to? The 3-point ball got him back in the series. 3-point ball was going to be their ticket to win it. It didn't happen. It's disappointing and it's frustrating, and I'm upset by it. But I don't criticize the fact that the Celtics took a bunch of threes. What I criticize is that they didn't necessarily take good threes. We heard in the last 3 games about, hey, pass up a good shot to get a great shot. Celtics didn't really do that. They didn't have many great looks yesterday. They were contested. They were forced. They were searching. They were desperate. And that's what was frustrating. But I don't hate that they took a lot of threes, period. I hate that Jason Tatum got hurt. I hate that Jaylen Brown dribbled the ball off his foot 100 times. All of the above. Now, we're going to have Ben Steiner on here in about 5 minutes. He is the lead guy over at Fast Break, which is part of the Sports Illustrated group. Is really, really good, really knowledgeable, and pretty prolific in his coverage of the NBA. So I'm going to ask him about the Celtics. I'm going to ask him about Mazzulla. I'm going to ask him about Jaylen Brown. If we had a full show today, I'd totally vet this out. We don't. I'll give you my very quick synopsis right now. I don't believe that this core works. I don't believe that this core works championship level. We have seen it. Okay? We have seen it a lot. We've seen Jason Tatum get to the conference finals now, I think 4 times. We've seen him get to the NBA finals before. We've seen Brown get to the conference finals 5 times or something like that. Or maybe it's 3 and 4, but nonetheless, there's significant experience here. I don't think that this core, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, I don't believe that it works championship level. Really good, top 4 seed. Yes, of course, they're that good naturally. But I don't believe that it works. That said, so let me back up. I don't believe it works. I believe if I were the Celtics, I would look to trade Jaylen Brown. I will make phone calls. I will entertain offers. But I ultimately don't know that there's going to be a move out there that makes it make sense. It's kind of a lesser of 2 evils here, where you can run it back and know that it doesn't work, but know that the team will give hope and be interesting and be good. Or you can get rid of Jaylen Brown and probably not be as good as you once were. It'll just be different. And I don't think either of those are a real happy outcome. So I don't know what the Celtics are going to do. I believe the Celtics will offer Jaylen Brown a max contract. I believe they will not want to see him walk. I believe that Jason Tatum wants Jaylen Brown back because he said he wanted him back. And that's going to carry some weight with the front office, too, in terms of if they want him back. Hey, our best player wants him. We got to make an effort. So I think that that's going to happen. I don't know what Jaylen Brown wants. I don't know what Jaylen Brown wants. And that's going to be the key to all of this. If Tatum wants him and the team wants him, then what it all comes down to is if Jaylen Brown wants to be there. I would be okay trading Jaylen Brown. But I just don't know if there's a good offer out there. I'm not in on the Damian Lillard stuff. I'm not. It doesn't accomplish what the Celtics need. 802-585-3026. Text says, bottom line, lose 3 games at home in a series of 7. You'll never win. Bad shots taken. You have to put some of that on the coaches. Yeah. I think that it was good to have a 3-point dominant strategy. What wasn't good was how those shots were created. And Joe Mazzulla needed to be able to pull another lever to get better shots. And that's the problem. Celtics did not get good shots. They couldn't create good shots. And some of that is on the coaches. I don't think that means you fire everybody. I think that means that a young guy got exposed and will learn. And I get that some people don't have patience, but I do. Okay, this is different. Joe Mazzulla's had 1 year at this. I'll bring him back. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum have had 3, 4, 5 Eastern Conference Finals titles appearance, and they've never gotten through. They've never won the whole thing. That, to me, I think I've had patience with that core. I would be prepared to move on from Jaylen Brown. I just don't know that there's a good answer out there to do it, so I don't know that it's actually going to happen. I think Tatum wants him. I think the Celtics will offer him, and then it comes down to what he wants. And if he wants out, then the Celtics are probably worse, but they're different, because I don't think they're going to find great value for him on the trade market, or at least commensurate value. And if he wants to stay, you're still good, you're still interesting, but you're still frustrating as well. The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show were brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Travis says, do I think Jaylen Brown will be at training camp in 3 months? I don't know. It's going to come down to what he wants. Right? I think that is what it's going to come down to. If he wants to pull a Terry Rozier and go get money and glory, he very well might go into their office and say, I want out. If he truly thinks that the problems here are fixable and Mazzulla can get better in year 2, then I could see him being here. I just don't know that it's going to work. Right now, I'm leaning towards no. Texter says got to move on from Rob Williams, too injury prone. I think Rob Williams is a big part of this team. I just no longer think he is like the centerpiece. He's just a nice or one of, he's not part of a big three. He's a good player. He's a useful player, and they're better with him when he's healthy. But he's not a guy that you just bank on and say, okay, this guy's going to give me 19 a game and 14 rebounds. That's not going to happen. Ben Steiner, fast break, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. He's going to be with us next. It's going to be quick. I'm going to get the call out to him. We'll be back here in about 30 seconds on DEV.
Hi, folks. This is Peter Burke. Join Joel Nashman and me in the garden Saturdays at 12:30. Don't try to do it alone in the garden. Call in with questions, for advice, or just to share your successes in the garden.
Brought to you in part by The Women's Store, family owned since 1900 in Greensboro. Holly Construction, Gregory Drive, South Burlington. One call does it all. And your locally owned Montpelier Agway, East Montpelier Road.
Me and Patton, we're owners of Lamoille Valley Chevy. We both want to start by personally thanking our customers and congratulating our team for reaching and exceeding our goal in the car, truck, and SUV challenge. Tell them, bro. That's right, folks. With a huge start to the year here at Lamoille Valley Chevy, the team and I are not satisfied, and we're ready to earn your business and grow ours. An important part of my job is to keep you informed, and I want to share with you that Chevy lead deals have improved dramatically since the beginning of the year. In fact, now is a great time for you to leave for less at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Listen to this. With $3,900 cash or trade down plus fees, returning lease fees can get a low mileage 2-year lease on a new 2023 Chevy 1500 custom crew cab 4x4 for just $399 a month. And folks, our inventory of new Chevys and pre-owned vehicles is huge. Right now, we have several clean late model pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs on the lot, and we're making deals to sell them. So come lease for less at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont, and spread the word for us. At Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Shorter show today. We're only up until 6:10. Reason being, Red Sox baseball. Sox taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Our coverage begins at 6:10. First pitch 7:10. All 40 minutes of this show dedicated to the Boston Celtics and their demise. Despite coming back from 3-0 down to make it to Game 7, Celtics fell flat last night at TD Garden, losing by 19 to the Miami Heat. Their season is over. Joining us now for more of the post-mortem is Ben Steiner over at the Fast Break Group, which is part of the Sports Illustrated family of networks. Ben, thanks for being with us. How are you?
Yeah, of course, Brady. Good to be here. Great game last night. I know your Celtics, it didn't end the way you wanted to, but you got to admit it was entertaining, the whole thing, the whole series.
The whole series was entertaining. They certainly came close to making history. It doesn't make the defeat taste any better, though. Let me just ask you on the micro level. Last night, what was your impression of the Celtics just last night?
I think it was kind of what we thought the whole season long in terms of they're a group that's very talented but not consistent. So I think we saw the epitome of that. They forced 3 historic wins almost, essentially when you think about it, and then they go and they just kind of just stink it up at home in a Game 7. And isn't that kind of the epitome of their season, Brady, if you think about it?
Yeah, it certainly is. They're a team that's frustrating to the very end of this season. I'm not giving the Celtics the excuse, but I do wish we had gotten to see a fully healthy Jason Tatum. I wonder how much that truly impacted the game.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Right before we hopped on about an hour or so ago, I wrote something on what he said after the game, and it was fresh in my mind. I'm glad you brought that up. He was honest. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he didn't want to make an excuse, but he was, sometimes players will play it off. Let's not talk about it and move on to the next thing. But he basically said he was a shell of himself, and he was really frustrated about it. And so you saw the lip. I'm sure you saw that video, and a lot of people listening saw that video of him walking off the podium.
Yeah.
He clearly was limping. I mean, I don't think he's milking that. I don't think he's making an excuse. I think he genuinely got hurt. And I think if that was a regular season game, I mean, maybe he would have exited. What do you think?
Oh, I think he would have exited. Well, I think he would have exited, or at least he wouldn't have pushed it. He might have come back originally and seen how it was and then pulled himself. But I don't think he would have played more than 10 minutes in a regular season game, no doubt about that. What's your overall impression and sense on Joe Mazzulla, who certainly drew a lot of criticism early on in this series?
So I never, no one ever wants to advocate for someone to lose their job or anything of that nature. But when you really look at what happened, I mean, look, they were already a super talented team, as we mentioned. So it's not like it was a, surprise that they were good no matter who was coaching the team. So I guess what I'm trying to say there is the season was kind of a failure when you look at it, the way kind of the ups and downs and the 3-0, being down 3-0, they had to go 7 with the 76ers. And I was looking at a guy who was kind of learning on the fly. I mean, Brady, you followed this team so closely throughout the season. A lot of us, we saw during the season, we especially saw during the playoffs, that it felt like he's going to be a good coach in a weird way. He's going to be a really good coach. But I think right now it felt like maybe he was kind of learning on the fly. He's the youngest coach in the league. And so I'm not faulting him for that. It's just along the lines of maybe this team needed, your old school veteran coach, hey, I've won a championship. This is how we do it. You know what I mean?
It's going to be very interesting, too, because I think Joe Mazzulla is going to stay, but it is going to be really interesting to see what happens with the assistants. I think we could all agree that if Mazzulla is the guy, they're going to need some kind of veteran there on the bench alongside him. Their top assistant, Damon Stoudemire, left in the middle of the year. He goes to get the head job at Georgia Tech. The report came out earlier today from Brian Scalabrine, Celtics broadcaster, that he thinks multiple Celtics assistants are going to go to Houston to join Ime Udoka. So this could be an entirely new staff around Mazzulla. That's going to be a tough thing to navigate because I'm really not into the assistant coach world in the NBA, but they're going to need a couple of established ones.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's funny saying I'm literally standing in Big Town Atlanta right now where I could walk to Georgia Tech, where Stoudemire now runs the program. So that's funny. No, I'm sure that was a big loss too. Remember, I think that was in the middle of the season, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
So that was a big loss. That's one of your lead assistants. And then, like you said, I think that's going to be really important because I think when you are the youngest coach in the NBA, and for any coach, really, you need to have a great staff around you. When you get propped into the job right away, and you're with assistants you didn't necessarily pick. That's something interesting to think about. A lot of these coaches, you pick your staff. And so what I think is interesting is they need to have a veteran, like you said, or, a really good assistant coach. I mean, remember when the Lakers won the 2020 NBA championship, Frank Vogel, the next year, or a year or two after he got fired, but guess what? Who was their lead assistant that season when they won the title? Jason Kidd. So it's like if you look down and you dig deep at all these championship final teams, they always have a stud assistant coach. So you make a great point there that this is going to be a pivotal summer for the coaching staff. And it's funny, we're going to have to really start delving into hey, the assistant coach role in the NBA.
Yeah. For sure. Ben Steiner with us from Fast Break, part of the Sports Illustrated group here on the Brady Farkas Show on this Tuesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. when the Celtics are down 3-0, it's very, very easy for everybody to say, "I'll just blow it up. Just blow it up. This core doesn't work." Now that they pushed it to Game 7 and they showed heart and they showed resolve and the chemistry seemed to be better, where do you stand on this core and whether or not it should stay together?
I'm open to both. So I'm totally against the people that say, just break it up. It's time to break it up. I mean, you've been in the conference finals 5 times in 7 seasons, and your 2 best players are 25 and 26 years old. Come on now. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. They didn't get it done. But I mean, my gosh, 25 and 26 years old, and you've been in the conference finals 5 times in 7 seasons, and 4 of those Tatum was on the team. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they are in a great spot no matter what they do. I'm open to a trade of Jaylen Brown if they get something significant in return. I don't think you go trade Jaylen Brown just to avoid the extension and maybe get from a first-round pick for a young player. I don't think you do that. If you can get a legitimate all-star back, then I trade anything that you think fits better on the team. Okay, then I'm open to it. But if it's just to, we don't want to pay him the supermax and all that stuff, blah blah blah. No, you got to keep him at that point. You can't just get part of a Jaylen Brown. You know what I mean?
What's interesting is I am with you. I'm in favor of breaking up the core, but I'm not in favor of just giving the core away. So if I'm going to trade Jaylen Brown, I would have to get something of value. And the NBA is so weird and finicky about the rules. The money has to match, and I can't even keep track of it all. So there are people out there that say, trade Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard. Well, that might work money-wise. That doesn't do anything for me, and I don't think it addresses the Celtics' issues. It just gets them old and not as good defensively. I've heard, maybe the Pelicans want to, move on from Zion, and hey, he's young and he's exciting, but he's awfully injury prone at this point. Is there somebody out there of relatively commiserate value for Jaylen Brown?
You want to know something really funny? Is right before we hopped on, totally ironic. I didn't even know you'd ask me this question. I actually tweeted that it was just kind of an opinion. I wanted to see what people thought of it. And I was like, what would you guys think of a Jaylen Brown for Ja Morant swap? If you really think about that for a second. Morant's obviously going through his struggles in Memphis. They need to change the scenery. Boston's got one of the best cultures in all of sports. I mean, everybody plays well in Boston. Everyone does well in Boston. And then Jaylen Brown fits that kind of grit and grind, Memphis defensive. Jaylen Brown's the best player in the league. I think that while that trade would be very unlikely if it were something of that nature, I think both players would reach new highs. I think Jaylen Brown would turn into a legitimate superstar, and I think Morant would be really, really. Think about it. You get Morant around guys like Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Derek White. You know what I mean? If you get Morant in that group, oh my gosh.
I mean, I thought about that last week, and I certainly could see Memphis wanting to move on from Ja Morant. But, Memphis is one of the smallest markets in the league and one of the most insulated markets in the league. If you can't succeed there, I don't see him succeeding in the big city of Boston and under that microscope. I'd be very wary of Ja Morant if I were the Celtics.
So and you're not wrong in that maybe ideology of hey, maybe if he's starting going to a small market, how's he going to do on the big bright lights? But that's why I come in and say, look at the Celtics veterans. When you get under, I think the NBA has really done a bad job at really finding the right veterans in some of these young teams. Look at Udonis Haslem on the Miami Heat. He's epitome of culture. And I think that Marcus Smart is that for Boston. And you can also throw Al Horford, Derek White, like those guys I said in there. You give Marcus Smart a young point guard like Ja Morant, he's going to take him under his wing, Brady. Don't you? That Marcus Smart is going to take that guy under his wing and make sure he's Boston Celtics pride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. We're talking with Ben Steiner here from Fast Break Group, part of the Sports Illustrated Group. Here is where I think the Celtics are at. I think the Celtics are inclined to offer Jaylen Brown the Supermax. And I think they look at it like, look, we're going to sign these guys. We're going to have this young core. And if it doesn't work out, we'll blow it up like Utah did. And we'll always be able to find something for our superstars that's pretty good. So I think they're inclined to sign him and kick the can down the road. I think Jason Tatum said rightly after the game yesterday, he wants Jaylen Brown here. I'm trying to figure out what I think Jaylen Brown wants, because I could see him taking the money. He's big on the players union, so I could see him taking every dollar because that ultimately moves the conversation forward for the players. I could also see him walking in and saying, I'm tired of being Robin to Batman when I think I'm just as good as Batman, and him asking for a sign-in trade. Where do you think he is at?
Yeah, that's a great point, and I don't know if we know. I think that If I had to guess, I mean, I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure the Supermax would be, what you'd want, especially when you're, repping the players and everything like that. And, you're a superstar player, almost borderline superstar player in the league. So I think that if that's in front of him, he's going to accept that. But yeah, that's a good point. And it's also when you look at it like this, we haven't seen Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum play with a star point guard. So think about that, because they've been the stars. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, there was Isaiah Thomas for that, that.
They tried it with Kyrie, and he blew it up.
Yeah. Excuse me. They did have Kyrie. But maybe when I was trying to go there, I think that's why I blanked on Kyrie for a second, was because I'm thinking dynamic duo. So, like, you just put Jaylen Brown with a point guard, or you just put Jason Tatum with a point guard. And I'm thinking maybe they'd be better off in that scenario. I'm saying instead of go get a point guard and have a big three, maybe that's where you make a trade. Maybe Jaylen Brown goes somewhere else, and you bring, he gets to go to the good guard, and Tatum gets a good guard return. I mean, we haven't seen that kind of dynamic point guard forward, duo just one-on-one. And I think that maybe just having two-star forwards maybe just isn't the way. And like you said, that's why I think a place like Memphis, something like that, you think Jaylen Brown reach new highs. I think he's kind of being limited when you're playing next to a guy who plays the same way you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. The injury concern on Zion is obviously the big thing. But that's the guy I think I'm most intrigued by in any kind of trade. I don't know if New Orleans wants Brown and CJ McCollum, so maybe it doesn't even work for them. But I'm kind of intrigued by the idea of Zion. Have you heard anything about if New Orleans is kind of tired of waiting him out?
So I think that what we've seen, all indications that we've seen from New Orleans, and they seem to be full on. Think about it. With the shutting him down and the really taking it easy and allowing him to take his time, I think it appears as if they're very much in on him. Now, it's funny that you keep mentioning. I think that Zion seems like a sweetheart of a kid, a superstar talent, like very, a fan of who he is, right? I've never met him, but I'm a fan of who he is. I actually am not so high on him because of all the injury history. Like, I wouldn't go trade Jaylen Brown for Zion. You know what I mean? I would not think that would be a good move. I'm of the belief that he's got to go to, like, a rebuilding team. You know what I mean? Who could just say, hey, take your time. Just take your sweet old time. I'm not high on him, the player, right now.
Interesting. Well, we have an offseason full of speculation ahead of us now because the Celtics are not in the NBA Finals, which begins Thursday between the Heat and the Denver Nuggets. I've got the Nuggets winning that one. Ben Steiner from Fast Break over at the Sports Illustrated Group. Ben, man, we appreciate you, and we'll catch up down the road this offseason.
Yeah, let's talk this offseason for sure.
Well, we definitely will. We'll have plenty of time to talk all about it. Peter Wilson says, I like the idea of John Morant to the Celtics. I do not. I did mention that last week. Ben just mentioned it. Not a fan of it. I'm a fan of culture. I'm a fan of good character guys. And I'm not saying that John Morant is a bad person. But John Morant is not what the Celtics need. Right? It's too risky for what the Celtics need. I would rather run it back with Jaylen Brown than go get John Morant. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be a good fit for the Celtics. Well, yeah, of course, but I don't think that Oklahoma City is going to do that. Would I do it? Yeah, I probably would. I don't think they would do it. What we will do is we'll come back, react a little bit to what Ben had to say. The assistant coach issue is going to be a big deal for the Celtics. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll get to the Red Sox lineup. Sox taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Our coverage begins about 10 minutes from now at 6:10. So we'll have the lineups for you for the first game there at Fenway. Nice to be back from the West Coast, by the way. I know all of you are happy about that. And again, yeah, the assistant coach issue is going to be a big deal for the Boston Celtics. We will talk about that next here on the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes, your total home solution in Montpelier. Always streaming, by the way, at WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com and on our YouTube live channel and Facebook Live.
WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 91 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com. I'm Wendy Gillette in New York. A building that partially collapsed in Iowa will be demolished, but the remains of victims could still be inside. CBS's Adriana Diaz.
Search crews are back on site at a partially collapsed building in Davenport, Iowa. After stunning news, there may still be people inside.
At this time, we have 5 individuals that are still unaccounted for. 2 of those we believe to be possibly still in the building.
Engineers warn the debris pile is actually holding up the remaining structure, and a full collapse is a question of when, not if.
The boardwalk in Hollywood Beach, Florida was the scene of a mass shooting last night. 9 people were shot. Correspondent Christian Benavides.
Police in Hollywood Beach, Florida have released surveillance video as they search for suspects involved in Monday's mass shooting. One person of interest is seen in a yellow hoodie. Another has on a gray sweatshirt. 2 suspects are already in custody.
And they were arrested on weapons charges. At this point, we do need the community's help. We are looking for 3 individuals we believe may be related to the shooting.
A Virginia man has been charged with murder in the case of a councilwoman in Sayreville, New Jersey, who was shot to death. Police say they knew each other through a church. There are indications tomorrow's vote in the House to raise the debt ceiling will be successful. North Carolina Republican Congressman Patrick McHenry says more than half of House Republicans will support it. But there are those in the no column, including Georgia's Andrew Clyde.
The Biden-McCarthy deal has been dubbed the Fiscal Responsibility Act. But in truth, there's nothing responsible about it. Make no mistake, this is the Fiscal Irresponsibility Act.
Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes has reported to a Texas prison to begin serving an 11-year sentence.
Holmes turned herself into the minimum security women's federal prison in Bryan, Texas. It's about 100 miles north of Houston. It comes about a year after she was convicted of 4 felony counts of fraud and conspiracy. Her claims that Theranos technology could scan for various diseases from just a finger prick of blood were proven false.
Every time you create something new, there should be questions. And to me, that's a sign that you've actually done something that is transformative.
Holmes has also been ordered to pay back investors $450 million. Chris Fox, for CBS News, Boston.
Former First Lady Rosalind Carter has dementia. The confirmation from the Carter Center, which says she continues to live happily at home with her husband. The markets closed mixed. The Dow lost 50 points. This is CBS News.
Need hires who dazzle without the hassle? You need Indeed. Their powerful platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swan Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Hi, this is Anson Tibbetts, co-host of For the Birds, heard Saturdays on WDEV. Each week, Chip Darmstadt and I discuss bird sightings, bird counts, and activity at your feeder. You also can listen anytime to podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Join us Saturdays at 7:30 and 12:15 for the Birds. 28 years on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
How do you make your lawn and garden grow? Stop in at your locally owned Guys Farm and Yard stores for all your garden seeds, soils, fertilizers, lime and lawn seed. Pick up onion sets and seed potatoes. Need better lawn and garden tools to make it easier? Guys has them, and garden accessories too. While you're growing your own veggies and flowers, grow your own chicken and eggs with meat, birds, and layers. Go to guysfarmandyard.com and fill out the order form. Grow well with Guys Farm and Yard, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road in St. Albans, and guysfarmandyard.com.
Do you own land with a single or double wide home? Visit Fecto Homes, where they can guarantee you top dollar for your existing mobile home, regardless of the year. They offer many finance options with competitive rates and down payment assistance exclusively for mobile homes. Fecto Homes has several models for sale off the lot or customize and order your own. Make the most of your time and money. Visit them today at 350 River Street, Route 302 in Montpelier, or online at fectohomes.com.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox lineups coming up momentarily. I want to thank Ben Steiner for stopping by from the Fast Break Group, part of Sports Illustrated. We don't need the music anymore, people. I'm the people who played the music by mistake. The Celtics coaching staff is going to be really interesting because Joe Mazzulla, I think, would benefit from a veteran assistant. Either a guy who's been a head coach who is just on his staff, or a guy who's been a veteran assistant before, is kind of that veteran mentor. I don't know who those guys are, right? I know who those guys are in the NFL, right? The Wink Martindales of the world. I know who the Vic Fangios are, the guys who have been coordinators for a long time. And I know Fangio was a head coach, but the good support staff guys. The Celtics would benefit from somebody like that. And they may need multiple new members to their staff, because Scalabrini said today that several Celtic staffers could go to Ime Udoka's staff in Houston. So your top assistant, Damon Stoudemire, is gone. Now you might lose multiple assistants to Houston with Ime Udoka. That's a tough position to be in if you're the Celtics and if you're Joe Mazzulla. He needs some help. And I don't know that he has the connections to, just go up and call up the equivalent of Jason Kidd or whoever Ben mentioned as being on the Lakers staff inside the bubble. This is a tough position for the Celtics. I think everybody recognizes that he needs a little help, but where is that help going to come from? That I don't know. Texter says the Celtics should get Kenny Atkinson from Golden State for Mazzulla, and that's fine. Like, that would be good. A guy who's been a head coach. And look, man, if you can deal with Kyrie in Brooklyn, then you can help. You can help Mazzulla, but I don't know if Kenny Atkinson wants that, right? Does he want to be a head coach? If he wants to be a head coach, then he wouldn't have that either in Boston or in Golden State. So I don't know what exactly he would want. But I would take any of those kind of – heck, I would take the Mark Jacksons of the world as an assistant, older, former player, guy who's been a head coach, guy who's gotten the playoffs, guy who's watched a lot of games. I would take that kind of guy as an assistant head coach. I just don't know that guys like that want the job. I don't know that guys like that want the job. Red Sox back at home today off the West Coast. They are taking on the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are 24-29. They're in third place in the NL Central. The Sox are 28-25, fourth place in the AL East. The Reds have a young, interesting core, and it's getting better by the day. Okay? The Reds have one of the most exciting prospects in all of baseball in Elly De La Cruz. They have several other highly rated prospects. They got a couple guys injured. The Reds are coming. They may not be there yet, but this is not a guarantee, sweep for the Red Sox. Red Sox split with the Reds I think got swept by the Reds in 2 games last year at Fenway. So Ben Lively's pitching for Cincy. He's 2-2 with a 2.65. Brian Bayo for the Sox 3-2 with a 4.08. TJ Friedel will lead off for Cincy in center. Matt McClain, the young rookie, he is the NL Player of the Week. 380 he's hitting right now. Jonathan India is at second. Jake Fraley's the designated hitter. He hits cleanup. Tyler Stevenson's the catcher. He bats fifth. Spencer Steer, another youngster, is at first base batting sixth. Nick Senzel, a former top prospect who's starting to pop a little bit, he's at third. Will Benson's in left, and Stu Fairchild is in right. For the Red Sox, Raimel Tapia is in right. No Alex Verdugo today. Rafael Devers is back. He's at third. Justin Turner's the DH. Masataka Yoshida, the left fielder, he bats fourth. Jarren Duran is in center. He's batting fifth. Duran slumping down to 297. Tristan Casas is up. He's at 200 now. He's at the 6-hole hitting or playing first. Kike Hernandez is at short, batting seventh. And Manuel Valdez is the 8-hitter at second. And Reese McGuire is the catcher, and he bats ninth. Red Sox and Reds coming up less than 30 seconds from now. Sox looking to come off the heels of a 4-5 road trip and start a home slate here off on the right foot. And then remember, divisional week coming up after this against the Tampa Bay Rays for the weekend, including a doubleheader on Saturday. Sox want to start this week off on the right foot. Brian Bayo and Ben Lively. We'll talk about it all tomorrow. Freddie Coleman and Tom Karen of Nesson will be with me tomorrow on DEV.
It's time for the Mass Mutual Red Sox pregame.